Welcome to the Lean Out Your Business podcast, a show dedicated to helping entrepreneurs accelerate business growth and simplify success. I'm your host, Krista Grasso, and I've been working with businesses for more than 2 decades to help them lean out and optimize what's working while eliminating anything that's not adding value. So if you are ready to get more time back in your day, more profit in your business, and to do business differently, growing and scaling on your terms, let's dive into today's episode. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Lean Out Your Business podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about what it really takes to scale your business in a sustainable way. One of the things that you have probably noticed, I know I certainly see more and more of this every day, is the abundance of people who are now scaling experts and now talking about scaling, right? If you rewind a few years ago, it was all growth. Everyone talked about growth. And I remember I have had more than one person, several people, really question why I was talking about scaling instead of talking about growth, because growth is what everyone was talking about. And to me, I have always been and always will continue to be a scaling strategist. I help businesses scale, or I help businesses be ready to scale if they're still in the growth phase. Well, fast forward to today, and everyone and their second cousin and their dog is a scaling strategist. And all everyone talks about is scaling. But the problem with that is twofold. There's 2 different issues that I see predominantly. One, a lot of the people who talk about scaling truly don't understand what scaling means. They certainly don't understand how to scale sustainably. And what they're really doing is just taking the word growth, replacing it with the word scale, and positioning themselves as an expert or as someone who can help you achieve that. And if you have gone through the growth stage of business already and you are in a season of scale, you know that the problems that you have, the solutions that you're looking for, the things that you need, the things that your team needs, it's different when you're in a scale versus when you're in a season of growth. So it's a really big risk that I see where there's all these people who are just going with the buzz trendy words and who don't actually know what it takes to scale a business or scale in a sustainable way where you're not completely burning yourself out and you're not putting yourself on a revenue roller coaster where you're dependent on the next thing that you launch or the next thing that you sell to keep the revenue continuing to come in. But there's another piece of this that I see a lot, and that because everybody's talking about scaling, every business feels as though they need to be scaling. And the reality is your business goes through various stages. As soon as you get past the figure it out stage, hey, I have an idea, what is a business, right? After you're through the mechanics of starting a business, you move into the first stage, which is emerge. And in the emerge stage, the primary thing that you're trying to do is trying to find product market fit. You are trying to find the right offers for the right people at the right price and the right positioning so that you actually have something that you know you can sell on repeat and that provides value for your clients. Now, typically when you move out of the emerge stage and into the next stage, which is grow, it tends to be around the 6-figure mark. It's not a hard and fast rule. I don't think any of these stages are dollar driven. I think they are behavior and characteristic and result driven. But generally speaking, by the time you've hit 6 figures in your business within 1 calendar year, you have figured out what to sell, who to sell it to, and at what price point to sell it to be getting some traction going in your business. And so at that point, you move out of emerge and you move into grow. Now, grow comes before scale. You can't jump straight from emerge to scale. As much as you'd like to, you've got to pass through grow. Grow is a critical part of the journey. And you see everyone around you scaling or saying that they're scaling, it can make you feel like you need to be scaling. And I see so many businesses come to me being like, I'm scaling. And I'm like, you're a solopreneur who's still trying to get traction with things and everything is 100% dependent on your time. You're not in a season of scale, but because they're very competitive and there's always that little bit of us where it's like, well, Sally Sue over there is doing this. And if she's doing that, then I'm certainly doing that or doing it better, right? And so people end up seeing other people talk about scale and they will say or self-identify as a business that's scaling. And the problem with that is, again, if we rewind back, you focus on different things when you're in a season of growth versus a season of scale. Your challenges and your issues and your problems are different. The solutions, the things that you do, where you spend your time, how you direct your team at things is different when you're in a season of growth or a season of scale. So if you are all of a sudden doing scale things before you've effectively done the things that you need to grow your business enough that you can scale, you are actually putting your time on the wrong things, and those things will hold you back from the results that you actually want. So how do you know where you are, what to be focused on, and what you should be doing next? Let me start with a quick definition of the first 3 stages of business, so we're all speaking the same language. Emerge is very much that newer energy, the figure it out stage. You're trying to get the right offers in front of the right people at the right pricing with the right positioning so that they say yes. You're typically in the emerge stage, getting you through around your first 6 figures with typically just you or you with a VA. Maybe, just maybe, you might have some fractional other people helping you, like somebody helping you with social media, for example, but it's largely you. It's very much driven by you, and it's very much a figure it out stage. Now, once you've broken through that, you've got your product market fit, you know what you're selling, you know who you're selling it to. Well, at that point, what do you want to do? You want to grow it. You want to grow your revenue. You want to grow your reach. You want to be able to work with more people. You want to be able to impact more people. You want to be able to bring in more money. When you're in a season of growth, you tend to be in a season of more clients, more revenue. The downside of that is it usually also means more expense, more time, more people, right? And so growth sounds super sexy. From the outside looking in, growth looks really sexy, right? I doubled my numbers in the past 30 days. I am now able to serve this many clients, right? Growth looks super sexy from the outside looking in. Growth is completely suffocating from the inside out because growth typically adds so much complexity, moving parts, people, decisioning. There's just a lot that comes with growth, especially when you have those periods of accelerated or rapid growth, when you aren't fully prepared for the growth and it comes at a pace quicker than you can almost keep up with. You're having to hire to deliver on what you've sold. You're having to quickly try to hack together systems when you don't really understand how to create systems or what systems are or even who should be doing them, right? It's a lot of mistakes happen in the growth stage, which gets amplified when it's a period of accelerated or rapid growth because you've got this thing, you finally figured it out, you're excited you figured it out, you go all in on it. And all of a sudden you just have leads and you have clients and you have questions and you have things coming at you every which way. It is equal parts exhilarating and exhausting. And the one thing that most people don't consider in periods of growth is that frequently all that new revenue that's coming in, all those new people that you're serving sounds great on paper, but the reality is a lot of times your profit margin does not increase. A lot of times your profit margin actually decreases. So you look at the fact that you doubled your revenue for the past 30 days, great. But then you look at how much of that money you actually get to keep, and it might be less than you were able to do when you were in a season of emerging, where your overhead is super low. Growth is an important part of the journey. You have to be able to take what you're selling and reach more people or reach more of the right people. And you need to be able to prove to yourself and to the business that it can work and that you've got a business model that will support it. But growth also brings up a whole host of issues. If you do not grow in a lean way, if you are not really strategic and really intentional with that growth, you end up with all of the complexity. You frequently can end up where your client experience ends up being negatively impacted because you just simply can't keep up with things. Things are moving so quickly. It's hard to actually deliver the quality of service that you want to be able to provide or the quality of the program that you want to be able to put out there because there's tech considerations and there's customer support considerations and there's questions that need to be answered. And there's just a lot that is needed the more people that you're serving and the more people that you're working with. There's also more demands on your time, right? As you start to grow your business, you as the leader of that business starts to grow. You start to become more visible. You typically, in order to have effective growth, you start to become known for something. And when you're known for something, and when people see your growth results, they want more of your time. And they frequently want more of your time for free, right? I'd like to have you on my podcast. I'd love to have you speak on this stage. And in the early days, you're lucky if you're getting paid for those speaking on stages experiences until you learn how to actually sell that as a service in your business. And it ends up being another revenue stream, right? There's more demands for your time. There's more of the, hey, can I pick your brain that you've got to quickly shut down, right? In a merge stage, we're excited. We're so honored when someone wants to pick our brain. We're like, all right, they finally see me as an expert. Of course, I'm going to talk to you and help you. By the time you're in the growth stage, you're like, I do not have time for that. If you want time on my calendar, here's a link where you can buy a session, right? You end up having more demands on your time and you have less time to give in the growth stage. Because of that, we frequently end up making poor hiring decisions. We end up in a place of desperation and a place of need. So we're just knee-jerk reaction, kind of being like, oh, I need someone for this. Go, I'm going to hire this person. And you tend to not properly really vet and make super strong hiring decisions. Or when you do get that person in, you are so darn busy that you barely have the time to truly train them and onboard them and set them up for success. And it's also highly unlikely, if you are in a season of growth, that you already have really solid, really amazing systems in place that are going to support that person. So these are characteristics of the growth stage of business. As I said, growth is an absolutely necessary step. You cannot skip over emerge and go directly into scale. You can, however, simplify and streamline how you grow your business with a lot of intentionality and a lot of focus so that you end up with a much different experience and you're actually able to shorten the amount of time that you spend in growth and move into scale more quickly. So why is it all about scale, and what is it that most people get wrong about scale? Well, if growth is a time of more, scale is actually a time of less but better. And a lot of people mistakenly think that scaling means more things, more people, more everything. Scaling is actually more quality over quantity, less better. Pick your terminology. In order to scale successfully, in order to scale sustainably, you really need to simplify. You need what I talk about frequently of strategy, planning, systems, team, and insights. Scaling sounds really sexy, kind of like growth does, but the reality is scaling, if you're doing it right, is a whole lot of team and leadership. It's a whole lot of systems development. It's a whole lot of strategic planning. It's a whole lot of up-leveling your infrastructure and your operational efficiency. Really effective scaling is putting as much focus on the back end of your business as you do on the front end of your business. It's about optimizing as much as it is about growing. And when you do that, and when you do that well, you actually are increasing your profits, not just your revenue. Whereas the side effect of rapid growth in business is frequently increased revenue, but decreased profit margin. When you scale and you scale well, you're actually increasing your profits. And not only that, but you're also leveraging your time. Part of scalability is being able to have more leverage. So if you work with clients and it takes you 1 hour and you're doing one-on-one work and you have 10 clients, that is 10 hours of your time. If you have a scalable model or a scalable offer and you are working with those 10 clients in a more scalable group format, then those 10 clients are only taking you 1 hour as opposed to 10 hours, which is giving you leverage with your time. So there's a lot of different facets to a truly scalable business and scalable business model. And you don't have to scale all the things all at once. Did you watch the limited series called We Crashed about the whole WeWork experience? It was absolutely fascinating. If you have not watched it yet, really, really great show. And of course, being the business strategist and the scaling strategist that I am, as I'm watching this show, all I'm thinking about are all of the mistakes that they ended up making, where it was painfully obvious as they were going what direction their business was going to go in. And although it's a really extreme case of somebody who is just focused on absolute accelerated growth, rapid growth, and growth, or they would have probably used the word scale. I'd argue they were never scaling because they most certainly were not focused on being more profitable or more lean or better operational efficiency. What they were focused on was more places, more locations, more sexy things, right? They were in a place of more. And as a result, they just kept growing, thinking the profit will come later. And I see this mistake with a lot of businesses. I'm just going to keep doing more of this. As soon as I get more visible, as soon as more people know who I am, as soon as more people join, then I'll be more profitable. But what they don't actually realize is they're not set up in a way for that to ever turn profitable. When you watch We Crash, or if you kind of think back to it, if you've already watched it, when you watch We Crashed or you look back on that, you can see the trajectory pretty clearly. You can see that there was no way they were ever going to dig themselves out of the growth loop that they were in because they never put any time on optimization. They never did any of the boring stuff. They never did any of the stuff that was truly necessary to have real scale. What they were able to do was scale the number of locations they had. They had whatever framework or systems in place to be able to go out and launch new locations. And so they were able to scale that piece of their business, but they never actually had a truly scalable, profitable business model to support it. The foundations were not in place to support it. There was a ton of waste. There was bloated teams. There was total noise in what they were doing. And although that's kind of an extreme case, I see that on a more micro scale in most small scaling businesses, or most small businesses who maybe are in a period of growth but think they're scaling. So similar to some of what we saw in the show, right? When we look at a business from the outside in, when we look at especially a big business, a successful business from the outside in, or sometimes even businesses that appear to be successful and might not actually be successful behind the scenes. But what we see from the outside looking in is cool new products and services, or cool new offers, cool new features and things that people are selling. We see all of these sexy, cool new marketing campaigns or different interesting tech-based things that people are doing, glamorous photos and great locations, right? There's all these different things that we see depending on the type of business that we're looking at. We frequently will see huge revenue numbers or huge growth from the outside in if people are sharing that info. Some people very directly share numbers, other people more imply a level of growth. And what you also frequently see is a brilliant CEO at the head of the company, or an absolutely brilliant rock star team that brought something to life or that supported their CEO in that success. And so from the outside looking in, it's really easy to think that that's what we need to do, right? We just need to constantly put out new stuff if we want to scale. We need these great, amazing, super sexy, more marketing campaigns. We just need to constantly be doubling and tripling and quadrupling our revenue. And we need to keep hiring our team. We need to build up this amazing team of absolute rock stars, and we need to hire more and more people and put in more leadership levels and all of these different things. We see the more. And a lot of times the more that you're seeing does not fit your business. There's a way leaner, a way simpler, a way more sustainable, and a way more profitable way to go. But regardless, even if those things were all the things you actually needed, which I would argue you wouldn't. But what you don't see is all the stuff behind the scenes that actually makes the stuff you see possible. When I'm brought in to work with some of those large scale businesses, what they do to scale is they focus on becoming more operationally efficient. They focus on becoming more agile and being able to get products to market faster. They focus on cutting expenses and cutting costs as much as they do on bringing in new revenue. They implement systems, they up-level their playbooks, they make sure that people on their teams have the right training and the right support and the right development so they can do their role well and they can continue to grow in their role and stay with the company instead of jumping ship as soon as they've completed whatever this kind of tier of their career is. They have strategic planning practices that they put in place, most of which are lean and or agile. They do not make gut-driven decisions. They have metrics in place. They look at their insights, right? Again, strategy planning, systems team insights. These are all the things that they have in place, but they put the measures in place. They look at those insights and they leverage those to make data-driven decisions. They make absolutely certain that they only fund things that are in alignment with the company's overarching vision or strategic objectives. And they remain focused on continuous improvement and optimization, and they frequently have space for innovation in the work that they do. But innovation does not always mean putting something new out. Innovation often means making something existing a lot better or further differentiating it from what competitors do. Right? The big companies that are out there, it can be easy to look at them and think that as a small business, we're so different and there's nothing that we have that we can learn from them. But the reality is they got to be a really big company by doing a lot of things right. And we may not do things at the same size and scale as the way that they do because that doesn't apply down to our business. But if we look at the underlying principles and why they do the things they do, most of those things apply to us. And most small businesses don't realize that and aren't leveraging that. The bigger businesses, the most successful businesses in the world, regardless of their size, they understand that you have to put just as much focus on the back end and on operations and operational efficiency as you do on front end marketing and business development. You cannot have one without the other when you want sustainable success and when you want your business to be as profitable as possible. When you want to actually scale, you have to focus on cutting costs as much as you focus on generating new revenue. You have to put the strategy planning systems team and insights in place that help you to be able to scale and to do so in a simple and sustainable way. I'm a big believer that every business should be lean, luxe, and leveraged. So lean, laser focused on the things that provide the most value to the clients, the most profit to the business, and that eliminate absolutely anything that is not that. Luxe, where you are really providing an exceptional client experience. You are making it easy for somebody to retain and continue to work with you and to refer others to work with you. And then finally, leveraged. You are making sure that the time, the money, the energy that you are investing in your business is giving you the best possible return. A lean, luxe, leveraged business is a scalable business. And the thing is, even if you are in a place of growth today, maybe you have not yet reached the place where you can go all in on scaling. You can still grow your business in a lean, luxe, leveraged way. And when you do so, you are actually going to accelerate the growth stage in a way that does not eat your profits and does not take all your time and get yourself into a place of scaling a lot faster. And here's the really amazing and really cool thing about scaling. When you are truly in a season of scale, you've got a rock star team around you. You've got your right-hand person, the person I call your soul, your strategy and operations leader. You've got the right systems and processes and tools and infrastructure in place. You've got the right things in place to support you so that you, as the leader of the business, can be laser focused on the things that you care most about. You can put your time on legacy work, on thought leadership work. You can look at your calendar and feel amazing about the things that you are actually spending your time doing instead of feeling like you're stuck way down in the day-to-day and drowning in unnecessary complexity. A truly scalable business is what gives you freedom. A business that's growing does not give you freedom. But that doesn't mean you don't grow your business. You have to grow in order to scale. And you can absolutely grow in a really strategic, intentional way, which is some of what I hope you were able to take away from today's episode. So there is something new that I am doing, and I'm really quite excited about it. I've shared with you that we're getting ready to welcome in our next cohort of our Simplify to Scale program. Well, if you're curious if that program is right for you, or maybe if you're interested in working with me privately, I have just opened up my calendar for scaling strategy calls. And what these calls are 50-minute deep dive sessions with me where we're going to take a look at and talk about your business and look at what may be blocking your scalability or keeping you from scaling in a simple, sustainable way. And if you're in a season of growth right now, what can you do to move yourself through growth without a lot of the growing pains that a lot of businesses experience so that you're able to get to scale quicker? Now, to book one of these calls, you do need to qualify for them. Because this is something I normally would charge quite a bit for, and I'm offering these complimentary. It is for certain levels of business and people who are genuinely interested in learning more about potentially working with us. But it's a super value-packed session where it's you and I just deep diving into your business and what's needed for you for the next level of simple and sustainable scaling. So if that interests you, head over to leanoutmethod.com/consult. You can find all the details and all the criteria right there on the page. And I would love to chat with you and either work with you privately, welcome you into Simplify to Scale, or if nothing else, give you something really actionable that you can take away that will set you up for the results that you want in your business without all the complexity and without all of the things that make you not love the work that you're doing. So I hope you got a lot of value out of this episode. I will see you again next week. Thank you for joining me for another episode of the Lean Out Your Business podcast. I hope you got a lot of value and actionable insights from today's show and would love if you take a moment to leave us a review. If you have any questions on today's episode or on how to lean out your business, join us over in our private Facebook community where every week we do live training and Q&A, and I'd love to have you be part of the conversation. Head to leanoutmethod.com/group to join us. And before you go, be sure to subscribe to the show so you're the first to know when we release a new episode. We'll see you next week.